What do you do to cleanse your palate between?
I usually lick my underarm.
Kenny has the most sensitive palate when it comes to eating things beforehand.
Jeez. Hello, and welcome to episode 106 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We are your hosts, Kenny, Caleb, and Anthony. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, how's it going? I'm glad to be back.
What's up, guys? How are you all?
We got a good trio going here. Back at it again for the second week in a row. It's a nice Friday, and we're on the cusp of a very important music festival here in Lexington. But as I'm sitting here and looking directly across the table from me, Kenny, do you see this?
Caleb's shirt. Oh my gosh.
Caleb, come on, man.
Hey.
You got to bring it. What are you doing over there?
It's the Queen, man.
It's the Queen. So
It's Britney Spears.
Obviously, not being a visual medium here, we got Caleb wearing a Britney Spears T-shirt. You are a
full support.
Full support. You're a confident man.
I'm very confident. I'm glad she broke free. If she wants to wear her hair buzzed, that's all fine. But she brought it all back. Yeah. She's in a better mental state.
Do you remember that when she had the umbrella and was like,
"Oh yeah"?
There was she was exposed too. Do you remember that, Kenny, or not?
Poor girl.
Hey, you know what? She brought it all back together. She's in way better shape than Kanye is. So
no, that's true. That's true, right? And I guess in the mental health hierarchy, which we're not poking fun at mental health, Britney has come out on top. She's looking good now.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I got to give you a lot of credit for wearing that. So as I'm thinking about Britney and thinking about what's happening this weekend, I can't help but think about music festivals in general and concerts in general. So there's been another time, I think it's when we talked about concerts on the Mashup when I was with Steven and Michael. But I'm just wondering, gentlemen, like, what's your experience with music festivals?
Well, for a festival, the only one I've actually ever been to for a true festival is actually Ichthus. Like when my kids were younger.
Same.
Okay,
I've been to several concerts,
so
but as far as a festival.
If you don't know Ichthus
what is Ichthus here?
So here in Kentucky, I grew up,
Wilmore.
Basically all my childhood,
Wilmore?
I spent in Wilmore. Yeah, so if you go Wilmore, if you go down Harrodsburg Road,
Yep.
which is not far from here in general, you drive straight down, you get to Wilmore, and then you take a right. And it's basically between Wilmore and Danville, and it's just out in this open, I don't know, probably about like 20, 30 acre field.
Talking like a big field, huh?
Yeah, big field.
All kinds of
There's about like
artists.
four or five stages. You
The
have
actual
like
screamo music.
Yeah, you have
that
like
was,
Skillet.
Like, for real.
Really?
No, screamo.
Oh yeah, screamo.
And then you had Skillet, and then just
Skillet,
traditional Christian music
like,
and R&B. And
Toby Mac.
Everything, yeah.
Really?
Had, Switchfoot. All kinds of people come out there.
No way. So this is like how many years is this still running?
No.
Is this like
it's been done for several years
They
now.
tried to revamp it for like the last 3 or 4 years. Tried to move it to the horse park, but it had like a real big following when it was out in Walmart for like 15, 20 years, something like that.
wow. That's pretty amazing. So you're talking about the outdoor festival. I'll tell you guys about an outdoor festival that I got to go to. I'm trying to remember the year of it. I think this was probably like 2004 or 2005. I got to go to the Latrobe, the Rolling Rock Beer Festival in Latrobe, and that headliners were like Outkast and Godsmack and stuff like that. So it was awesome. But I'm going to hear about concerts here in a second. But I have to tell you guys. So in the middle of Outkast like set, if you want to call it that, right? They're just rocking it, and this is the height of their popularity. Some guy climbs the tower next to the stage. There's always one person that's too drunk, right? And drunk, high, whatever he was. He goes up this tower on the side of the stage while Outkast in the middle of the set. The guy, it was Andre, I think, stops, and he's like, "Hey, man!" He's like, "Hold on!" He's like, "Hey, why don't you jump?" Yeah, he like yells, "Why don't you jump?" And then like it was a whole ordeal. They had to like shut down the festival for a second, right?
Jeez.
And it was pretty crazy. But the thing that really struck me about it is being a Rolling Rock Beer Festival in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and you had like a limit of 3 beers.
Wow.
And we were like too dumb to have pre-drank for this thing because, you know, we went and stayed with a friend. It was, went there with my buddy, and outdoor music festivals goes. That's probably the biggest and craziest one I've ever been to.
I would think like 3 beer minimum.
Yeah, right. You'd think 3 beer minimum, but it's like
that's the maximum.
Yeah, it was like the max, and it was that led to a really weird atmosphere.
So
but
like,
there's really good music.
Was it craft beer or is it just all domestic?
No, it was just Rolling Rock.
So they're not like high ABV or anything.
Yeah, it was crazy. The funniest thing was when Outkast was finishing up, Godsmack was on next. You talk about a contrast, right? The Godsmack fans like pushed toward the stage and were like trying to beat up the Outkast fans, and like the mosh pit got a little crazy during Godsmack. It was kind of crazy. It was a lot of fun. But okay, so not to steal the spotlight here. What's the best concert you ever been to?
My latest concert was actually an incredibly fun one. I'm not gonna say it's the best. It was Paul Cawthon at Manchester Music Hall.
Okay.
Shout out to Manchester and Adam Hatton. Those guys do a lot of good work down there.
They
some really good artists.
Yeah, absolutely. What style of music is that? I'm not familiar.
He is like a Kid Rock meets a Hank Williams Jr. Meets a little bit of psychedelic. Meets a little bit of it was a great performance.
Oh man,
he's a really good showman. Best one might be we went to Louisville, I guess Yum Center. It was 80s rock, like the old school band. But no, I mean this has just been like 8 to 10 years ago, but it was like the old school 80s bands, and I even forgot who they were.
Like Motley Crue?
I listen to music, but I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it was.
The most recent one I've been to, and it's probably one of my more favorite ones I've been to, was the Chris Stapleton concert at Kroger Field.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it got delayed for like over a year. They were supposed to have it during COVID.
Okay.
It was like supposed to happen in 2020, and then they pushed it back for another year, and Sheryl Crow opened, and then Willie Nelson came on, and Willie was killing it. He was brought out his old guitar that was all been all ripped up and stuff from over the years.
Didn't Bro just turn 90 years old, Willie?
Yeah,
dude, that's crazy.
He was like 30. He was like 30 or 40 minutes late. Just they rolled him out on stage, and he's out there.
He's out to lunch. Yeah, right.
Herbage is a preservative.
So much weed at that concert, dude.
Oh my God!
I couldn't tell you how many police officers came into the stands and were just ripping people out of the stands because they were just openly smoking weed in the middle of the concert, and like it's a no-fly zone in Kroger Field. So there's like I saw probably about 15, 20 people get pulled out of the stage.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I'd have to say that those sound amazing, and probably I'm a little dated with this one because I think the last concert I saw was probably the Foo Fighters prior to Taylor Hawkins passing, which was cool. I got to see them at Rupp. But live music, nothing beat this one year. We were in Detroit at Meadowbrook Music Festival. It's probably not even called that anymore. We got to see Oasis before they broke up. Like the Britpop band, and that was just an amazing time. I mean, nobody was sober for like 2 days, so it was a lot of fun. But there's good concert memories. Unfortunately, we didn't have any shout-outs this week. But gentlemen, do you have anybody you'd like to shout out?
Oh, yeah, shout out. I'll give a shout out to Julius Santane at Omasaki Sushi and Sake Bar. My wife and I went, probably a month ago now, and I can't quit thinking about that sushi.
Oh, really?
It's so good. It's
nothing
so fresh,
but love
so
for
good.
him. I ran a bourbon raffle in one of these groups to help out one of my kids on my team, and he was one of the first ones to jump in. So nothing but love for that.
I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I always see his name in there when I see because it says Edward Julius Sultani.
Yeah.
I always go the juice. I'm always thinking that. So that's cool. I got to get over and check out his
restaurant. He's down on High Street, right at like Euclid and High Street.
Okay.
It's made fresh, as in super fresh.
I love that. So we love the impromptu shout outs, but I also want to let our community know if you would like to hear a shout out, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Facebook, and we'll give you a shout out next time we record. So, gentlemen, the bottle that we have today is inspired by this festival that is kicking off tomorrow in Lexington, Kentucky, which is the Railbird 2023 Music Festival.
Yes, what we have tonight is the Penelope Architect series for Railbird. It is 110 proof. It is non-age stated, but it's a blend of between 7 to 9-year-old bourbons. And it is bottled in 2023, right for this festival, just in time.
Nice cork pop.
Yes, sir. And this is one of 8 or 9 single barrels picked for the Railbird this year.
Nice. And it's nice that we get to try it a day before everybody else does. And what is the MSRP on that guy? This is
$79.99.
Okay.
I forgot to mention
it's a pretty slick bottle look to it, too. It's like all the other Penelopes. If you look at it and you think, oh, it looks like an Eagle Rare bottle, it probably is. It's got some weight to it, too, more like an E.H. Taylor bottle. But it's definitely it's definitely really slick. It's got a basic label to it. It's blue with a big old P on the front of it.
Blue and white, baby.
Blue and white.
Our favorite colors here in
Absolutely.
Lexington.
There you go. Go Cats. And so when you're looking at that bottle, the people that are familiar with Penelope are probably used to seeing right now the Penelope Rio bottle
God, it's blown up
on the secondary market,
huge.
right? That Penelope Rio bottle is one of what's it, aged in Amburana and
No,
honey
it's
cask?
not. It's honey and Colombian or honey and something. It is not Amburana.
Oh, I thought it was Brazilian. My bad. Well, even if it is or isn't, I just know that it's all over the place right now. And so for those of you who have seen that bottle and you've seen that color combination of the bottle, Penelope has a whole lot of different color combinations. We actually did an episode with Penelope. I think they're 4-grain when I was doing an episode with Michael and Steven back in the day. And we really liked it. I remember that. But we were all looking at the name Penelope, too. Did you guys know that the Penelope name comes from, I think it's one of the founder's daughters? Is that correct?
And it is actually Amburana finish, so you are correct.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was thinking
There
of
you go.
something else, but yeah, it is. So it's actually honey, though, in Amburana.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was Mike and Danny, I guess, are the two main guys. But yeah, Mike's daughter, I guess they were expecting the first child in 2018, I believe is when it was.
Yep.
And we named her Penelope, and that's where the name came from.
That's pretty slick. I remember thinking like that's a really good reason and way to name a bourbon company.
I can think of 100 million more reasons why it's a good name too.
Yeah. So for those of you who are following the bourbon news, you may have seen that recently Penelope sold to MGP/Luxco for
Which is their own distillate.
Which is their own distillate. I mean, what the heck?
right.
Oh, hey, you can have our distillate. Oh, but wait, can we buy that back from you since you're doing so well?
Right. Talk about brand building toward the American dream in bourbon. Like, there's no better example than what just went down with Penelope.
Yeah. Great
And-
guys, though, man. I met them actually during this pick.
Oh, nice.
And just really,
Yeah, 'cause
really
you-
hospital guys.
you did this pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to hear more about that here in a second. I want to hear all about how this pick came to be, because I think that's important for our listeners to know that you had a hand in this, Mr. Kenny.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, man, but Penelope, talk about the American dream. What would you do right now if you built a bourbon brand and somebody said, we'll buy it, we'll give you 100 and whatever, 3 million in guaranteed cash?
Dude.
Would you retire? Would you keep working?
I would turn around and start building another brand instead and just see if it happens again.
I would sell it and then definitely try to go to premium. Because if you're working with this stuff, you're working with low age, like 4 or 5 years old, and you sell it and start over with something else that you can get your hand in with high age.
Well, I think that's what I don't know if they're going to continue to work on the brand.
I need to find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to find out what, like, I don't know if they're on for a year, 2 years, 3 years, what they're doing, if they're still the ones on the ground doing all of the work. I mean, because they're in, I think, 4 countries and like 27, 28 states already and stuff. So
I mean, go on, take the money and run.
it's wild, though, man.
No, it is wild. So,
Hey, Mr. MGP, sell me some barrels at $1,000, $2,000 a barrel.
yeah.
And then you're going to pay me $100 million for once I do the legwork and create the distribution and the brand.
Yeah, and I did hear a good analysis of the fact that MGP buying the brand back actually reduces their cost of product. So it's actually smart for them as well, because now they're going to be able to produce these kind of things and still sell them at a premium, because they've struggled with their own brands.
Right. Yeah,
If you think about it, what MGP brands do you really like? Do you like that Rossville Union Rye or Remus?
Well, they own Remus, but that's really it. I mean, there's tons of nice premium MGPs that we love to drink, but the other companies have really, I guess, done better work with MGP's own juice.
Smoke Wagon took off.
Oh yeah,
it might
absolutely.
be just, I guess, due to the rick houses, quote unquote rick houses, those smaller guys build, or
you never know.
They do it. But
Smoke Wagon, Redwood Empire, those guys have just
That's
been
true.
killing it.
Nashville Barrel Company is just, man, they've got some of the best tasting young stuff.
Then you got the OGs like the OKI and the Smooth Amblers and stuff, but I mean that's a different level. But so let's pivot over for a moment and talk about not just Penelope in this bottle tonight, but also talk about the Railbird Music Festival. So you guys know that, you weren't part of this discussion, but Stephen and Michael actually went to Railbird last year. So we had a very lively discussion shortly after on this podcast about what they experienced. I want to say they didn't stay as long as some people did. Some people went there early and stayed late. And for the majority of those people that went there early and stayed late, and for context here, last year's Railbird Festival was at Keeneland, and they experienced a lot of problems, to say the least, right?
Yeah, I heard like people were blowing social media up.
It was all over the
I had
news.
to work, so I was at work that day, but I was checking on the Facebook, and man, people were going off.
People waiting 3 hours in line for water
Or bathroom, either one.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it was pretty woeful. In fact, I actually was looking back at Facebook here, and I won't read the whole thing, but basically after the first day of the Railbird Festival last year, the founders and the people that were running it basically said, we're sorry the festival didn't live up to our standards or your standards, and they made improvements. They said to increase the access to water, let people bring their own water in, and making sure that they make the second day of the festival much better. And I heard from others that it was better, but didn't stop there to be
The comments on that post.
1.1K comments on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm only seeing some of the ones that, of course, because I'm looking at a historical artifact here of people that were friends of mine. But one of my friends, who I won't name, actually said, this is the worst planned and executed event I've ever attended by far.
Ouch.
And then the other thing is, last year, do you guys remember there was a vaccine mandate, right? They kept telling people you're going to have to show your card to get into the festival, even though it was an outdoor festival.
Right. I think you had to either do that, you had to do that, or either show like a negative test like right then there on the spot, one of those instant tests or something.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so another one of our mutual friends, who I can see their comment, and said, well, at least y'all half-ass made sure people had vax cards, and then put in parentheses, you didn't.
Oh, wow.
So that's just the tip of the iceberg, but I don't want to talk too much about the negatives about Railbird, because obviously with it happening tomorrow, I mean, people in Lexington,
have a pretty stacked lineup.
Super excited about the festival that's happening tomorrow.
Overall, people tend to love it. They had just that issue with water and bathrooms that first day last year.
But for people like us,
it's a great lineup.
It's all about the bourbon.
Yes, exactly. So that's the theme, right?
Right.
That's not just about music, and it's not about the artists
that are made
there, but
for this.
Yeah. And so, do you guys know by offhand, like some of the vendors that'll be representing down there, or the individual bourbon companies there? Because I haven't gone.
Yeah, I think there's individual distilleries that come out there too.
Yeah. So individual distilleries.
As far as for this year's pick, there's a Wilderness Trail bourbon. Mm-hmm. There is a Four Roses single barrel strength. There's 2 different bullet picks. There's an Elijah Craig barrel proof.
Okay.
This Penelope pick that we're going to try tonight.
Nice.
Is a Blackwood bourbon, and then I think a Monk's Road.
Okay.
And there might be one more, but those definitely for sure, and then possibly one more.
Yeah. Okay. And so, if you're thinking about that, it kind of the way if you look at the flyer that they have out for Railbird 2023, it says the infield at Red Mile, which is where they're having it. So the Red Mile racetrack, for those of you who've been to Lexington, or those of you who are thinking, it's not Keeneland. That's where they had it last year. Red Mile was like the gambling kart racing place that is in, everyone call it the little bit more seedy track, but it's still in a good section of town. It's a lot of fun to go over there. I like to go to Red Mile once in a while. But if you look at the handbill, I guess, for this, the old school handbill, it says music, bourbon, and equine. I don't know what the equine element is, just because it's at the horse track. But I'm looking at these artists on here, and I must be really old, or I just don't know what's going on. My eye is originally drawn to Weezer, and I don't know a whole lot of the other people. Maybe Ricky Skaggs. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd be going here for the music. I'd probably go in here more for the bourbon. But of course, a lot of other people would say be going here for the music, right? Because there's a lot of good country artists, Zach Bryan and Tyler Childers and
Childers.
Is it Childers?
Man. He's
I don't even know how to pronounce this stuff. See, I don't even know.
You aren't into country at all. Then.
Oh yeah. Wow. Don't out
he's
me
huge,
here,
man.
Do you know?
Huge.
Kyle Childers is huge.
Yeah, Michael is our country music expert, and so when he's on, we always get him talking about country music, and it works out really well. But when I'm on, I talk about country music, then I mispronounce a really popular country artist's name.
Yeah. Wow.
So here's to hoping that tomorrow's festival is actually a lot better than the previous year, and that there'll be a lot of good bourbon, a lot of good times to be had. And so with bourbon and good times, gentlemen, are you ready to start nosing this guy?
Let's nose her.
All right.
Dude, right off the leg, that's honey. Did you say this was finished in honey?
No. I said that the Rio, everyone's going crazy over on secondary, is finished in honey and Ambarana.
Gotcha.
So I picked up on a really incredibly interesting thing on the nose, and you have to know this, but it's a spicy. So my wife is from India.
Right.
We have my Indian, half Indian family, and I'm picking up a little bit of masala peanut on the nose, which is really interesting because I love eating masala peanuts, and I've got that one other time, and the whole time I've nosed bourbon.
Yeah, I get the honey, and I definitely get that French oak coming through really strong. Like all that, those Makers French oaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes off right off.
The French oak was so strong, I just struck myself in the side of the head with my glass.
And a lot of people will not know, but this is actually a blend of two barrels. Two actual single barrels.
Okay, so you're telling us about that, and that's now. I think that's a good segue while we're nosing here to talk about how this pick came to be. So you can't act like you don't know anymore. You got to tell us. So how did this pick come to be, there, Mr. Mills?
Well, yeah. So with this one. I actually was on the pick team that did this. And this is actually my blend, so I am actually...
Oh, it's your blend. You hear him over here? Oh, it's my blend.
It is, man. Yeah. So if you love it, then they stuck to my blend. If you don't like it, then they must have messed it up. So, simple as that.
That's what I say when I cook food at my house. I was like, if you like it, I'm the best cook ever. If you don't, then I didn't cook it.
Right. No, I was very blessed, man. Justin Sloan with Justin's House of Bourbon invited me down to do the pick. I was going down. The actual Bourbon Junkies were in town that weekend.
Oh, nice.
So my buddy Ron had already invited me down to J-Hob. We're going to hang out with the Bourbon Junkies and chill all day. So I get there a little bit early, and Mike and Danny with Penelope are there, and David Helmer's the head guy of Railbird is there. And Sloan's like, "Hey, you want to come upstairs and do this Penelope pick?" I'm like, "You don't have to twist my arm," but so we went upstairs. So Mike and Danny had brought out, we probably had 8 or 9 different single barrels. So we had like 3 or 4 initially. Everyone kind of picked, their favorite of, let's say, what's your favorite one of this?
Yeah.
And then they had 3 or 4 more, total 8 or 9, but then we kind of narrowed down to 3 of them. When we narrowed down to 3, one of them was just incredibly chocolate, a little cherry bomb, chocolate cherry. Another one had a little bit higher proof. Or it drank higher proof.
Yeah.
Felt like a much longer finish, but it reminded me a lot of like a Willet, that kind of floral and potpourri, kind of like a Willet.
Yep.
And I forgot what the third one was. And so we basically go back to those 3. We get more pours of those, and everybody in the room is going to just kind of, drink those 3 and kind of come up with a winner.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there thinking, man, this barrel number 1 that we had, I don't know the exact barrel number, but, the first one we had, I'm like, this has got the best front side. This other barrel has, a very, a little bit higher proof, a little bit proofier than what I wanted as far as like ethanol pop goes, but a really good finish. So I put 2 parts of this one barrel with 1 part of this one.
Master blender alert.
Mixed it up. No one saw me doing it. Let it sit for a minute, and I gave it to Sloan. I'm like, "Hey, try this." He's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Just try it, some what you think." He's like, he tastes like, "Wow, that's the best thing. That's the best of these we've had." I'm like, "Great." So then I told it was Danny. Danny had the little kit together. I'm like, "Danny, mix 2 parts of number 1 with 1 part of number 3 or 4, whatever it was," and then he mixed it up. Gave it to everybody in the room, and everybody just agreed. Boom, here we go. This could be the Penelope pick this year.
So how many, at that point when you started mixing those up, how many things had been tried? Had you tried through all the barrels?
We tried through at least 8, if not 9, but tried to do all of them, and there were some that were just, you could tell, hey, it's not ready yet, or it's just not what we're looking for.
Little green.
Yeah.
Little grass. I hate tasting grass in bourbon. It drives me nuts.
But it was good, man. It really was. You could just kind of tell, like, this had the best front side, but not much of a finish.
Yeah.
And then for the one we mixed it with, had that long lingering finish. And I'm not I don't love the potpourri florally as if it's super strong. So I'm kind of, on my Willets that I drink, I am hit or miss on those. So this has enough of that in there, but it's not overwhelming. I like purple tops. I don't love all of them.
Yeah.
So
well, you gotta like this blue top.
This is a fresh crack, and I've already nosed it again. It's already changed in the glass for me. So.
Yeah, and if you want, man, I've got my frother here.
No, I'm not frothing.
Anybody that doesn't know about the frother, you need to go buy your frother.
If anyone doesn't know who Kenny Mills is, Kenny shows up to any sipping event and brings a coffee frother.
cream frother.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You want. It's actually called a milk
You can use it to
frother.
make lattes, or
Yes.
you can,
Kenny makes bourbon lattes.
I'm going to froth mine
I
over
just
here.
froth it for 15, 20 seconds, and it gets a lot of air in there, so it's like being open 30, 45 days.
Science
I'm gonna do
around
the same
science
thing.
around it says
So-
the longer you froth it, the more air it's exposed to it.
When in Rome.
It irrigates itself.
That's right. There we go.
Get in there.
Froth it, baby.
Get it going.
But as to go back to what I was saying, it started changing the glass for me. So like when I was growing up, like I would help bake with my mom or my grandmother. We'd bake apple pies, and we'd always use like these red apples. We didn't use green apples, but we used red apples, and we'd peel off the skins of them first. And dude, it just smells just like red apple skins.
Yeah. No, I can get a little bit of that too.
On the nose still?
Yeah, on the nose.
Yeah, and I was going to say, now that you've talked about it, how you select it and everything, I think we're ready here to taste.
Yep.
I think we're ready.
When I taste it, to me, it's like a chocolate cherry
That's
cherry bomb.
So that's what
on
I should
on the
expect
front
here?
and the middle, chocolate cherry, man.
I have literally not taken. This
Yeah.
is the first sip of this I've ever had. Right
Yeah.
now, it's coming down.
There we go.
All right.
All right, for the front of it for me is just it's Cracker Barrel baked apples.
Okay.
Yeah, you get now Cracker Barrel's baked apples aren't overly sweet like some people's are. It's very not I want to say bland, but it's not over sugared. And you get the cinnamon and you get the full apple effect. But then it goes into what Kenny was saying. I get the cherry on the very back end of it.
Yeah.
With some maybe like cocoa nibs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely get the chocolate and the cocoa myself.
You get chocolate and cocoa. The one thing that I'm getting a lot of, I get that up front, and then I get this nice layered spice. It's like 3 layers of spice.
I get the cinnamon spice.
Is it the cinnamon that I'm tasting?
That's the
Is that what it
second
is?
barrel.
That's the second
one
barrel.
part.
Okay,
Yes,
it's the one part.
I could not handle that all by itself. It was just too much all by itself.
Yeah.
So
Whoa, my
when you
goodness.
taste that cocoa and some of that sweet and some of that
That's
chocolate
probably
cherry,
the cool thing about
that's
blends,
the first
right?
barrel.
Yeah.
And then that second barrel is that long spice and that long drawn out finish.
It's a really nice finish. And I mean,
Like it's almost cinnamon, but like cinnamon sticks again. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's the cool thing about blends is like when you blend 2 different barrels together, you're going to get the effects of both of them at different parts of your palate.
that's just a really nice.
It's a roller
well
coaster.
done, sir.
Yeah,
That's
it
like
is
a
really
good roller coaster.
I think so.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the finish is nice and long and pleasant.
Yeah. It's and it's not leaving any the only little bit of aftertaste that you get is really from the French oak. And I don't know how heavy the French oak is, but
Right.
I mean,
makers can be unbearable sometimes.
yes, this is not unbearable.
Right.
But you do, I think there is a little bit of contingent of, for a person who's never tasted a French oak bourbon before, they probably won't know what the heck's going on. For a person that has, this is done tastefully and nice. It's very subtle, and I like it. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike and Danny, they honestly, all the samples they brought us were really good.
Yeah, no doubt.
When they came down, they didn't bring any slouches in there. It was
Yeah,
all
the,
good barrels.
On the back end of this, it's definitely those cocoa nibs. Like you get like the
Yeah.
80, 85%, like super high like dark chocolate.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you eat a piece of dark chocolate, and that's what I was going to ask
Like
next.
a higher percent of dark chocolate.
I don't want to harp
yeah.
on this too much, but I was going to ask you guys, what were you doing between tasting to cleanse your palates? Because we tend to have little tasting events where we space out our tastes, people drinking water, you might do whatever. But when you go on barrel picks or when you're doing a pick like that, I mean, people want to know because they might get invited to an event one day where they're trying 7 bourbons, 8 bourbons. And what do you do to cleanse your palate between?
I usually lick my underarm.
Kenny has the most sensitive palate when it comes to eating things beforehand.
Jeez.
No,
Yeah. No, I just wondered, like
So-
I eat peppercini. I've recorded videos of me eating the pepperoncinis between my bourbon sips. So
for me, if I truly want to try to reset back to zero,
yeah.
it is eating a small piece of dark chocolate.
Okay.
That 85, 90%.
Who got you on that one, buddy?
My man Caleb over
Oh,
here.
you did? Okay.
But
Well, I've heard people say corn chips and crackers and
I
stuff.
can't
I don't
do
know.
anything.
Did
See, that's
J-Hop
the
put
thing,
anything
though.
out for you guys?
I can't do
to
anything
taste
salty,
between?
man.
Okay, I don't know.
I have such a weak, sensitive tongue. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anything salty kills me. But for all those tastings, I usually don't really do anything.
Okay.
I'll wait until the taste of the one bourbon is gone.
Okay.
And then I'll drink some water. and just water. I just cleanse with water, man.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I don't think that people you need to drink water when you're drinking bourbon.
You have to drink
Yes.
water.
Yeah, not at the same time. You don't have to, you can put some drops in your glass. You can put some ice in your glass if you desire.
But
We
you
always
need to
sit
just
and eat, and we
chug some
always
water, though.
drink the water. Yeah.
But now, I mean, if you truly need a reset, that dark chocolate literally just it's a great reset.
Okay.
It truly resets you back. Yeah, so if anybody's heading to Railbird tomorrow, grab a bottle of that and let me know what you think.
What did you say the retail on this was?
$79.99.
So they'll be selling this at the festival? Like you can go
Yeah.
buy a bottle of it at the festival?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just message back on the podcast if you like it, if you don't like it. If you don't like it, there's something wrong with you.
And I know
you
where
like it, you're welcome.
Yeah, and
No.
if you,
Hey,
I know where the guy's at who did it. And we can come,
Yeah.
I'll tell you where to find him.
Only
Actually,
downfall, Anthony. This is synthetic cork, buddy.
It is.
It is synthetic cork.
Hey, I guess when you chins out on the cork like that, you still get your $100 million deal, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no doubt.
Earlier today, I got to try the Four Roses
Okay.
for the Railbird.
Yeah.
I got to try the Latch Creek Rail Proof,
Dang, so you already been through
the
the lineup.
Wilderness Trail,
Yeah.
both bullets.
I got to hang with you, man. You're a
Hey,
VIP.
man.
I'm just sitting at home making eggs for my kids this morning, and
just
you're over there trying the bourbons.
I'm just a cold booger on the hot plate called Justin's House of Bourbon. Hook me up, man. They're good people.
No, that's nice.
So-
That's really good of them.
No, they're great people. So
Yeah,
I was
no
able
doubt.
to try a few of those today with my boy Davis.
That's good. All good. So, gentlemen, now that we've had time to talk about this and nose it and taste it, would you pass, try, or buy on this Railbird exclusive Penelope Architect pick?
Biased or unbiased?
What's that?
Biased or unbiased?
No, we want to hear it. Listen, the man is sitting right here next to
Right.
you. You have to say this is what this podcast is about. You got to say what you think, and he can't be offended, right? You have to just say what you're going to say.
Yeah, no, I don't get offended.
No, and I got to say, Kenny, this is out of all the picks that you've done on a lot of stuff, this is right up there. I think it's one of the better picks that you've done.
And this is fresh cracks.
Yeah, really fresh. Like
Yeah.
if I'm being dead serious, I think this has a more resemblance to me of the Maker's Mark FAO2
Yeah.
than most things I've tried. And that's a whole different distillate altogether. This is MGP, but if you throw it up there with French oak, you can get cocoa nibs. I'm definitely a buy.
All right. I'm going to have to go next because I'm guessing that Kenny's going to say he's going to buy. He's smiling at me. He's like, he's going to say he's going to buy. So I'm kind of a wild card here. I tend to just speak my mind with reckless abandon, and I don't care what the consequences are. So if you guys hear Kenny punch me in the face, no, I'm just kidding, Kenny. He's getting a little nervous over here. Listen to the build up.
I promise you, you know the rules of the house. Like even if we pour while we're sipping,
that's right.
If you don't like something, you go pour it out. You
That's
don't
right.
finish it.
Exactly.
Like, there's no feelings here like that at all whatsoever.
We're not in the feelings. And so here's where I'm at with this. The number one thing that is crazy is any kind of do you know if this is MGP distillate or not?
Definitely MGP.
It's definitely
100%
MGP
for sure.
So this is MGP distillate. This does not taste like MGP distillate.
Not at all, man.
Not at all.
Not at all. And that
Yeah.
so the only thing that I get is the high rye off the nose, like
Right.
you get because MGP is known for their high ryes.
Yeah.
But if with that French stave on it, I don't get any MGP.
Yeah.
It usually bounces off with
Yeah.
the high rye on the palate and the back, but it doesn't draw me up anything like that.
Well, let me throw a little curveball into this.
Okay.
And I don't know if they'll have any left. Barrel number 2, even though it was MGP, barrel
Yeah.
number 2, I'm telling you, was so Willet-esque.
Really?
I promise you. It is floral, potpourri, higher spice. So barrel number 2, though, guess who bought so like I said, this is 2 parts of one barrel, 1 part of the other.
Yeah.
Who bought the other half barrel of that?
I don't know.
Justin's House of Bourbon.
Are you serious?
It's a single barrel.
So they're going to bottle that.
So if anyone wants to check their website out or get to the store, they might still have some left. I don't know.
So do you know where this came in the Rick House?
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. So
yes, I agree. It's not MGP-esque.
Yeah.
But if you tasted the 2 single barrels by themselves, one was clearly Willet-esque, and the other one. So how you get the cocoa nibs now?
Yeah.
Just imagine if it wasn't blended.
Right.
I mean, dude, it is straight
rich.
cocoa, chocolate
Yeah.
cocoa.
Yeah.
By itself. So yeah.
So going back here, I'm actually going to be at $80. I'm going to be a buy, and I'm going to say something else about Penelope's Architect series. I don't know what the future holds for it because Of course, MGP is buying the brand now. We don't know if anything's going to change.
Well, you would think that if MGP is buying the brand, that the retail cost might come down on that.
No, I doubt they're going to. No, come on. They're going to be like,
Bourbon
they're going to.
Well,
that's going to make.
it's already
That's why they paid so much money for it, because they're going to.
I hope Mike and Danny stay involved.
I hope they do too.
Like the other ones that made this.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is, so this Architect series is a nice thing that you can sort of build out what you have going on. And I just want to just throw this in here, even though we're talking about Railbird and they have absolutely no influence. The last time I had a Penelope Architect pick was from Jackson, Wine and Spirit.
You brought that over here one night.
And we all liked it.
Yeah,
we all liked it.
Really was.
And so it doesn't taste like this.
Was that about a year ago?
No, that was
6 months
recent.
ago?
That was recently.
Was it?
That was more recent. I think it was only three. Maybe three. It was probably only 3
Penelope's
months.
doing great stuff. They also those picks that are going around, the toasted barrel strengths that are going around picks like that. Those are great too.
Your thoughts, sir? Is there anything else to say?
I guess I'll be a buy. I guess. I don't know. No, I'm definitely a buy, man.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, do you know? I guess, do you know what the barrel yield or the bottle yield of this was? Because, if you're at the festival and you're trying to prioritize your time, you should probably go over and grab one. If
give me 1 second.
It might be
I actually saw them today.
Okay.
I mean, there should be.
Let's say with a couple barrels, there should be a couple hundred bottles, right?
Yeah, I mean, it should be closer to 200 bottles, I would think.
Okay. All right.
200 and some change.
Good deal. Yeah, so if you're and you're trying to prioritize your time and think about where you need to hit, I definitely think if you're in to find a really unique bourbon and something that tastes good, you're probably going to want to go over and grab one of these. And so, gentlemen, as we're ramping up here and preparing for a lot of people to visit our city, I thought it would be nice to tell our listening audience, if you happen to be in Lexington, if you're here local, if you're visiting us from afar, is there any places and spots that if anybody has time down from the festival that they should check out?
Oh, yeah. If you're right there, so it's at Red Mile, you're going on the same road, going down Harrisburg Road. Ernie's is always my go-to. They have fabulous picks that they have there.
So Ernie's what are they, wine and spirits or just Ernie's?
I think they're just Ernie Spirits.
Okay.
Well, I'm a fat boy, so I'm thinking, when you ask me that question, I'm thinking food.
Yeah, food, wine,
so coming up
liquor,
Red
whatever
Mile,
you want.
I would definitely hit up Bourbon and Toulouse right there on South Broadway.
That's a money place.
And then you go up a little bit further, and you've got south of Wrigley. Boy Randall over there just killing things at south of Wrigley.
You got to go over there, man. Randall's got some sandwiches, man.
If you get a little bit further out, you want some some good food, but still a casual environment. Banners.
Oh yeah,
great.
Absolutely.
If you're there during the week, you need to go to Dad's Favorites.
Dad's Favorites,
Dad's Favorite sandwiches.
Gosh, man.
South of Wrigley and Dad's Favorites probably two of the
best hidden gems in Lexington.
If you want some a little bit higher end dining, food is ridiculously amazing. The mixed drinks are out of this world. Is OBC.
You got to do that. Well, I mean, absolutely. So if you're visiting us, we look forward to seeing you, and we hope that you have a wonderful time at Railbird. And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Magic KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comments section. Until next time, keep it deep.